Now, my last video, which was about stupid answers on Amazon or some shit, got me to thinking. As I had, as usual, my thoughts diverged, went on a tangent, kind of rambled on to other subjects associated as they were with the main topic, yet divergent, but not so divergent as to be brain dead. I would say they were tangential to the main topic. However, in talking about these things, it did make me think of the good old days in the 1970s. Now, for all of you who were born in the 90s and 2000, I believe you're called millennials. Those who were born even later and are even younger, I have no idea what you're called. Between the two of your generations, you have been born into the internet or pretty damn close to it. And millennials, the older ones, may have been 5, 6, or 7 when the internet became available to most. And those younger were born directly into it. So all you born in the past 27 years, this year being 2022, and I say this for posterity because this video may have a long life ahead of it, and I don't know what year you're currently in. This video is being recorded in 2020, and as of now, the past 27 or 28 years, if that's how old you are or younger, you've been born into the internet and you have no memory of the world before the internet. And that is a sad, sad thing. Well, let me tell you what. In the 1970s, there was no internet. None. There might have been ARPANET, which was a militarily produced product for research institutions. But as far as the public was concerned, there was absolutely no internet. That didn't come around until the late 90s or 2000 or so. So back in the 70s, in addition to no internet, there were no computers. I'm saying all this from the point of view of the common ordinary citizen. There were no computers. You didn't have a computer in your house. There were no video games. These things, home computers and video games, started to enter the scene in the late 70s. So let's make up a new rule for today's video and say this isn't just the 70s, but it's the early 70s, all right? 1970, 1971, 1972, 1973, 74, 75. Now, there were no video games. That meant little Johnny wasn't going to sit in front of the TV playing video games all day. As a matter of fact, he wasn't going to spend 1 minute ever playing video games. Television itself in the early 70s, there was no cable. It was all air broadcast. And you didn't have 500 or 1,000 channels to choose from. You had 4. There was ABC, CBS, NBC, and the public channel, WITF, or whatever the fuck it was called in your neighborhood. It was public TV and it sucked. So you really only had 3 channels to pick from. That was it. and something else. Because you didn't have internet, you didn't have streaming shows or movies. Early 70s did not even have VCR. There was no video recording units, no DVDs. You had no DVRs. There was no way to record a show at all. So the only time you got to watch a show, if you wanted to watch it, was when it aired. When it aired, you had better have your ass sit down in front of that TV and your eyes glued to the screen and your ears listening good and hard, because that was the only time you were ever going to see that show. With the rare exception of a rerun, and you'd be lucky enough to catch it in rerun. But for the most part, that one time it aired was the one chance you got to see that show, and if you missed it, fuck you. You never saw it again. And we were happy that way, because that gave you something to look forward to. It's not like today where you can just like, look, I don't feel like watching that right now. I'll just do it like later tonight. And then the time comes, well, I don't watch it tonight. I'll watch it tomorrow or next week or 2 years from now. Yeah. The 70s taught you rigidity. They put that in your head to straighten out your mind, to give you a discipline of thought and planning, looking ahead, constructing a design of your life where Thursday at 8:30, a show coming on, I'm going to be somewhere at some time, particularly what time, and I'm going to watch that. You made sure you did. I gave you discipline and construction of thought. You don't have that anymore, because now you have streaming. You can watch shit whenever you want. You can have DVDs and DVR and recordings, and you just have so much liberty now. And sometimes liberty isn't always the best thing, depending upon the context of what that liberty applies to. The 70s. We didn't have microwaves in the 70s. Did not have microwaves. That meant if you wanted a good hot meal or snack or something warmed up, you had to put in the conventional oven. You had to do your preheat cycle, wait 10 minutes, and then stick it in the oven and wait another 5 or 10 minutes until it actually warmed up. So you're looking at a total of 15, 20 minutes till the time from the thought hits your head. I want this warmed up pizza till it's actually warmed up and ready to eat. You got 15, 20 minute wait. 70s taught you patience. Not having the internet, the 70s did not have Google or Wikipedia or the other billions of sites which now harbor information. Information overload. Overload of information, overload of access. It's not necessarily a good thing to have that. Back in the day in the 70s, you had to go to a library or own a set of encyclopedias if you wanted to find out about a subject, or buy a book in a bookstore, something else. There were no Amazon or other online bookstores. You couldn't just flip a screen up, browse a bunch of books, and then find one that you like, and then hit a button, use a credit card, and have the thing shipped to you in a couple of days. No, it wasn't like that. You had to go to a brick and mortar. You had to go to a physical store. Maybe it was the mall. Maybe it was its own building. Usually it was in the mall. You'd go into Barnes & Noble, Walden's, whatever have you, and shop around for a book. And the nice thing was there were other people there, actually there, not just online, but they were physically there. And you had the sense of being among your own fellow citizens, your own fellow human beings, And guess what? You're going to bump into somebody actually talk to them, and they were right there in your face, just a foot away. Good and bad. You don't want people up around at your face every day. Once in a while, it might be all right, or maybe you like having people around. But you wouldn't know, would you? You ones born in the 90s and later, you wouldn't know what that's like, because you spend all the time online, and 98% of your human contact in quotes, is done over a computer remotely, and the other person is nowhere around. It was not like that in the 70s. 95% of your contact was face to face. We still had telephones in the 70s. No cell phones, by the way, just landlines. So there was some conversation over the phone. But the vast majority of your contact was in person. Not so much anymore. So that's another thing. No cell phones in the 70s. You just had to use a phone where you could find it. And the only place you could find a phone was in your house or in a public mall. There were pay phones. That was your only other choice, a pay phone. You're going to go to mall and use one, or maybe gas station would have a pay phone. They might, if you're more densely populated area like a city or a large town, you'd have pay phones out in the street. But if you weren't near any of those, you're shit out of luck, because there's no way to make a call or receive one. You had to go find a payphone or get home and use it. Other place had landline phones was in the office. So at work, when you were working, you'd usually have access to a phone. Wasn't as easy as, sitting at the desk where you work and picking up your cell phone and having a 30-second conversation real quick and putting it away, and nobody probably even cares. But you had to get up and, you had to wait for a break, basically. You had to wait for a break and go off to the lunchroom, cafeteria, or whatever, and use a payphone there. So, yeah, things were different in the 70s. Kids went outside to play in the 70s. They don't anymore. They sit inside playing video games, or they browse social media. That's the two big activities today. Maybe they text. This is all indoor stuff. Back in the 70s, you want to get out and do something, have some fun. You go out and throw frisbee, you throw a baseball, do some batting, play some baseball, play some tennis. Go out on your bicycle and ride around and walk around their neighborhood, look to get into some trouble. Go out in the woods looking for trouble. Just go out in the woods, enjoy some nature, start a fire, campfire, whatever, and see the natural wildlife and the botanical items, meaning the plants, trees, flowers, shrubbery, all sorts. I mean, it's just, and the sky. Kids don't know what the fuck the sky is anymore. I guess they see it when they go to school. And that's another thing. You used to walk to school in the 70s. God, this video is getting long. I'm going to have to cut this short. But anyway, you would go to the school. If you lived within a mile and a half or 2 miles of the school, you would walk. Today, the school could be a block away, and the fucking kids got to wait for the bus to come and pick them up and drive them there. It could be a 2-minute walk to get to a kid's school, but no, they wait for the bus to come and pick them up and drop them off. It's so ridiculous. It's asinine. So, yeah, they might get to see the sky as they walk from the front door of their house to the bus. That fleeting 7 seconds of blue scattered with cirrus clouds. And then it's gone. And that's all they saw of the sky. Well, I have gone on for far too long, and this video is going to be a long one. But fuck it, that's what it is. It is what it is. And you know what? In the 70s, people accepted that. You are what you are. I am what I am, and that's all that I am. Today, people think they can be any damn thing they can imagine. They can be pigs with horns of an antelope and peanut butter for wings. Crazy shit. Well, that's my thought for today. Have a good evening.
Enter a world of darkness and desolation, of delusion and destruction, of daring and death. Enter the personal hell of Christopher Irving in the thrilling novel This Side of Midnight by David Halk. Christopher, a recluse and a failure, collects corpses for company, and the dead become better friends for him than the living. But a mysterious voice threatening his own death puts Christopher on a mission of violence and murder as the only way to save himself. The line between the living and the dead becomes blurred with deadly consequences in this dark psychological thriller. Get your exciting copy of This Side of Midnight by David Halk, available in ebook and paperback at Amazon.com. Search This Side of Midnight David Halk, spelled H-A-L-K, or click on the link in the description below.